Best Road Bike 2020, serious but affordable carbon and steel bicycles. For fast commutes and even faster sportives. These are the best road bikes that don't require a remortgage. The best road bike usually comes into its own at this time of year. Spring and summer are the time for flowers to bloom and for keen road cyclists to dust off the chamois shorts and unshackle the best road bike from the turbo trainer. To clock up some hard road miles. This year that's been happening less. But lockdown is loosening and road bikes also make great commute vehicles for those keen to dodge public transport and congestion charges. A great road bike could also be the best bike for the new normal. If you have flirted with the idea of road cycling and want to give it a go, now is the time, especially with the Cycle to Work scheme making these bikes much more affordable. If you don't want to venture out, you can still keep in training with the best turbo trainers and the likes of Zwift. They're a great way to stay in shape and avoid weight gain at home. To get yourself off to the best possible start, you'll want to think about investing in a high-quality machine. We're here to help you find the best road bike for you. So whilst you may not have spotted all of these on previous Tour de France outings, they're the best road bikes that offer close to pro spec. At a price that's affordable. The tech in the best road bikes has improved at such a rate. And cycling has become so much more popular that previously out of reach carbon speed machines and pro spec Peloton punishers are now available at prices that are not cheap, but are also not punishingly expensive. The handling of these commute to sportive road bicycles more than justifies the cost. We've picked bikes that'll get you to work without leaving you aching. And that'll go at speed and take on hills without endangering newcomers to the road bike world. Road cycling can be pretty daunting if your usual jaunt is a pedal along a flat cycle path to the local pub. The terrain can make the ride uncomfortable. And quite frankly, the old road bike in the back of your shed isn't going to cut it in today's world of wind tunnel tested carbon fiber rockets and lightweight aluminium frames. Having a decent road bike will help make the ride easier and more comfortable. And as we mentioned, now is a great time to pick up a pretty good road bike for £2,000 or less. The frame material is the main reason for this. But be warned, we have found that as frame technology has improved over the years, particularly those of the carbon fiber variety, the finishing kit that completes the bike gears, wheels, brakes, saddles, etc. has suffered. You need to look at the whole package. If you opt for a more expensive carbon, be sure to check out the wheels, group set, gears and brakes, and finishing kit, saddle, bar tape and cabling, as often manufacturers will balance the books by scrimping on these fittings. For example, an entry-level group set such as Shimano's Tiagra or Camapignolo's Veloz may not endure the punishment of a long sportive or timed weekend ride as well as other brands. But for those simply looking to rack up the miles on gentler rides or take it easy during a friendly competition, this may not be such an issue. The same can be said for wheel sets. Ideally, the lighter and stiffer the wheel, the better for speed and handling. But don't forget, this will typically mean a compromise in comfort and budget. Similarly, the geometry of a frame and its construction will greatly affect the way it performs and handles. A racy geometry, the angles of the tubes that make up the frame can be a pain on longer rides, despite performance gains. A fact that's well worth considering if you're simply looking to add a little swag to your daily commute. In short, that ultra, super lightweight frame that has been tested in a wind tunnel to within an inch of its life might sound like a good idea. But the overall package may not represent good value. You also need to think about whether a carbon frame road bike is even the best for you. Most cheaper road bikes use carbon fiber. But do note that cheaper carbon tends to flex under load and can also be less comfortable and more brittle than the steel or aluminium framed counterparts. With all this in mind, we've collated a list of brilliant road bikes that represent excellent value across the board, from the tires to the top tubes. Ultimately, it pays to do some research. And our countdown of the best bikes for around the £2,000 mark, some maybe slightly more, is the ideal starting point. If we say so ourselves. Named after the infamously grueling Paris to Roubaix challenge. This intelligent road bike features the Mark's new Future Shock 1.5 cartridge. which gives a staggering 20 mm of vertical stem and bar movement to soak up bumps. It's also now better integrated into the seat post for a smarter look. The frame and headset are chunky, but it doesn't feel like a particularly heavy bike, and those oversized elements are only put in place to house the clever suspension system. Although discreet, there's a noticeable difference in the way the handlebars and stem miraculously iron over imperfections in the road, while the squishy seat post makes arduously long sportives slightly less painful. The addition of tried and tested DTR 470 wheels means it remains a fast ride, and that Fact 10R frame is stiff and pointy, nicely transferring power through the wheels. Of course, those with bicycle spider senses will likely argue that the additional damping affects power transfer and handling, but we struggled to find those flaws. Also, the Shimano 105 gearing and brakes is a bit stingy for a bike at this price point. But you're really paying for that brilliantly clever frame. In our humble opinion, it's a race bike that doesn't punish the spine, wrists and arse like its carbon fiber brethren. And that's a very good thing. Little wonder this high-tech ride has now won the T3 award for Best Road Bike 2 years running. Although this hardy steel frame started life as an all-out gravel bike, Pinnacle have revised the recipe so it now has full compatibility for various wheel sizes, 650B x 52C or 700C by 45 mm. Rear axle and die-2 cable gearing options. Plus internal F+R dynamo light routing. A super versatile all-rounder. The Arcos R2 will suit anyone who likes to subject the bike to punishment, or have an all-weather commute that requires something hardier than a flimsy carbon show pony. Solid Shimano gearing, comfortable riding position, chunky tires and a skinny aluminium frame all come part and parcel with this highly affordable machine. Plus, this is a 2019 run-out model, meaning it can be snapped up with some very healthy discounts. Canyon's updated Aeroad CFSL is one of the raciest, sharpest and fastest machines on this list, fusing the latest aero-tested frame geometry with a full carbon integrated cockpit for fighter jet levels of on-road performance. New for this year is Shimano's laser-sharp Ultegra R8000 drivetrain, which pinches learnings from the top-spec Dura Ace collection and filters it down into something mere mortals can, sort of, afford. That also means Ultegra RT800 disc brake rotors are present, as well as some of the most tactile levers on the planet. Feathering those powerful brakes is enough to scrub speed off at an impressive rate, while minor adjustments are made possible by the high levels of control and feedback. The front and rear rim profiles have also been cleverly devised for aerodynamically efficient high-speed cycling, with a 58 mm x 19 mm at the front and a wider 62 mm x 21 mm Reynolds AR58 carbon unit at the back, funneling air across the frame's sharp profile for a direct, effortless ride. Side winds can be a pain. Mind, Canyon's H36 integrated cockpit is now famous in cycling circles, as its 400 grams mass helps to keep overall bike heft down to just 7.83 kilograms, and it's just as slippery as the rest of the setup. But its shape means there are only a couple of grip positions, forcing the rider to adopt a full-on tucked-up riding style. On top of this, bike computer users will have to buy a special out-front mount in order to use them. Alas, these are minor gripes and issues that hardcore riders, let's face it, this bike is aimed at and won't even consider. Canyon Aeroad CFSL 8.0 is an absolute weapon. Okay, so you'll have to bust the £2,000 budget here. But that smart investment buys some of the best frame technology found in the cycling game. Specialized Fact 9R carbon fiber construction is light and stiff, for improved straight-line speed and inspiring greater downhill confidence. Yet it manages to remain comfortable enough for longer rides. The US-based company has refreshed its tarmac lineup for 2019-2020, doing away with some of the more basic models. This means that even the entry-level Disc Sport comes with improved rims, powerful disc brakes and a more performance-orientated frame geometry than previous iterations. Straight out of the box, this bike is built for lengthy sportives and heavy training usage, but with a little more tweaking and outlay. It can easily transform into a pro-spec race-ready piece of kit. You've probably noticed that a couple of Tour de France podium finishes have been riding Ridley last year. Not least Thomas de Gent and his awesome Ridley Helium SLX. This build isn't quite up there with the pro-spec model, but it is far more affordable and can be used for a variety of cycling styles. The hardier carbon layup makes it good for weekend racing, as well as the daily commute. The downside is weight, as this will feel slightly heavier than some of the more performance-focused bikes out there. But it will be barely noticeable to most regular riders. The use of Shimano 105 and Ultegra is top-notch, as it keeps cost down but ensures super smooth gear changes with the added bonus of tried and tested reliability. Canyon is the German meister of packing as much bike as possible into as small a price and box as possible. Their mail-order packaging is a masterclass in ruthless German efficiency when it comes to use of space, allied to speed and ease of setup. Now, the more astute among you will have noted that there's something rather odd about this road bike, and that's because technically it isn't one, it's what is called a fitness bike. However, that is a very stupid and uncatchy name for what is essentially a road bike with flat pedals by default. Obviously you can fit it with whatever you like, and flat bars. And it is fantastic, as the Germans say, for riding in town. I literally can't think of anything better than this bike. The riding position, forgiving frame and physics saddle give you great awareness and comfort, but when you need to put the hammer down, it will accelerate in a way that is not unlike a road bike. As well as very well judged geometry. You get a carbon frame, Shimano Ultegra components, disc brakes and a DT Swiss E1800 wheelset that's built to be speedy yet highly durable. Shipping is also included in the price, and takes under a week. Canyon has ridiculously exacting standards for the component sourcing and manufacture of its bikes, and even employs Bluetooth torque wrenches in its factory in Koblenz. If you're after a ride that screams professionalism by incorporating an almost unhealthy amount of carbon fiber, this seriously slippery customer could well be the steed for you. Vitus launched its original ZX1 models back in 1991, when it wasn't owned by Wiggle, and wowed the world with the first one-piece carbon monocoque frame to hit the market. Things have changed a bit since then, but the latest ZX1 and this unashamedly carbon road weapon is about as slippery as things get. It's also crammed with the latest drivetrain tech. It looks good enough to go up against the Pro Peloton and sports some powerful disc brakes for an additional tech bonus. But you will have to pay the price for this. Stick with us though, because you'll often find this sort of thing sports massive reductions in a couple of months' time, putting it well within budget for most. The Super 6 Evo has long been the go-to brand for the UK cyclist who wants to blend serious lightweight performance with a price tag that doesn't require remortgaging the house. This year's model has been tweaked ever so slightly with a new colorway and a slightly lighter and more aerodynamic frame, but the same excellent riding experience is still present and very correct. The entry-level model discussed here might not be finished with bags of aero touches and lightweight components, but the money goes towards that excellent frame, which boasts one of the best handling experiences on the market. It's a beautifully reliable bike that will handle a variety of levels of riding, from the occasional sportive to regular racing. It's also a template that can easily be improved upon down the line. With a few mods, Giant is often credited with leading the way in terms of creating long-lasting, comfortable and great value road bikes, and its Defy range is a great entry point to the brand. This model is built with endurance and comfort in mind, so perhaps isn't as racy as others mentioned on this list. But flattened seat stays and a specially designed seat post are added to decrease road vibrations and keep the dreaded numb-arse syndrome at bay for longer. Powerful disc brakes are also thrown into the mix as standard, which is particularly impressive given this bike comes in at £1,599. These offer extra peace of mind in poor weather, even if they can be a bit of a faff to service. On top of this, Giant throws in some clever aero-style rims that feature bespoke tires and do away with tubes, reducing the chances of flats and increasing enjoyment out on the open road. Giant's finishing kit is also solid and will last years of heavy cycling before it gives up the ghost. Only Shimano's entry-ish level Tiagra group set lets the package down. More discerning riders may find it can prove lazy to shift and a little unreliable compared to more expensive offerings. A few years back, online mega sports retailer Wiggle resurrected the French bicycle marque, Vitus. It's been inexorably improving its affordable but really rather good carbon races ever since. The Evo CR road bike is a stripped-back version of what the professional Vitus outfit hop on when they go racing. Which means it includes an ultra-honed carbon frame with a finishing kit that keeps the cost down. What remains is an extremely reliable machine that only packs components that its makers know will last the toughest sportives, most demanding weekend rides or the punishing daily commute. It competes on price and features with the likes of Specialized and Giant but delivers extra niceties, such as the ultra-reliable Shimano 105 group set. For example, it also looks rather understated compared to the rivals on this page. But that's no bad thing. This is a solid investment that feels light and agile out on the open road, yet somehow manages to also possess tank-like levels of build quality. We highlighted a bit of Eddie Merckx in our Tour de France bikes you can actually buy feature, purely because there are very few experts on the subject with the winning pedigree of Merckx. If anyone knows how to build a high-performance bike, it's the Cannibal. This particular model is a homage to the success achieved by the man himself on the Milan-San Remo Spring Classic event, which he won 7 times out of 10. It's fast, light and comfortable over those longer rides. Despite the aerodynamically tuned carbon frame, the bike comes with an excellent setup that includes Shimano Ultegra gearing, a Dada cockpit and free-rolling Fulcrum Racing 400 rims, a winning formula that doesn't require professional sponsorship to obtain. If you love carbon fiber, you've come to the right place because this wind tunnel-tested beauty is absolutely dripping in the stuff. The result is a featherweight speed machine that you'll be able to lift with one finger and packs a group set that wouldn't look out of place amongst a professional pack of elite riders. You'll pay for the privilege, but this high-end stunner represents great value considering the tech that has been invested in the frame, carbon rims and Shimano's reliable 105 group set. Text source, t3.com.